Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Find them online at guaranteehealth.com, guaranteehealth.com. Got some more baseball to get to, maybe a little bit of football, as well as LSU is on the spring football practice field tomorrow. But today, it's time for the guys who are leaving LSU behind to take center stage at LSU's Pro Day. Chris Marler, LouisianaSports.net, was there for us. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. I stopped watching Mormon Housewives just for this. I'm fired up.
That goes on in your house too, but you participate in that?
I don't think that's going to surprise anybody, but yeah, I'm a big fan. There's a lot of storylines going on right now. You got to stay tuned in.
It happens in my house too. I'm just not participating in it. Let's talk about LSU's football players from the past who were taking stage today. It appears to be a pretty good day for Harold Perkins, who did not do any of the drills at NFL Combine, and that surprised me a little bit, considering that he's kind of a tweener, and I would think he would want to do as much as he could, but he put on a show today, no?
Yeah, he did. It's funny because I think I put out an article on LSN a while back before the Combine. I was like, hey, these are a couple of guys that I think could really have a big day in Indy from LSU, and one was Harold Perkins, just I thought he would test well. The other one was Jack Nyburn, and I'm pretty sure neither one of them participated at all. So that was a big waste of 1,000 words on site. But I will tell you, I think today the big thing that everyone was there for, I think, was Monsoor Delane and then also Harold Perkins and their 40 times specifically. And I think it's time you just move on from the fact that, like, stop trying to figure out which specific position he fits in at. Is he a star? Is he going to be a linebacker? Is he going to rush the quarterback? I don't know, but you can just use the old phrase, like, football player. Just list him as football player, because he is really, really good every time he steps in between those white lines, and he's been fantastic. I thought today when he went out and we're sitting there, Rivers, Huey, was recording it on her phone. I was doing the stopwatch on my phone, and I literally held the phone up to the camera, and I was like, there's no way that's right, because I had 4.38 on my phone. I was like, there's just no possible way he ran a 4.38. And sure enough, he did. And I thought it was a really, really big day for him. He seemed to be in his element, and it was a nice little send-off for him, for somebody that maybe we thought was going to leave Baton Rouge a year earlier. But especially coming off the injury that he had a season ago, it was great to see him run as well as he did.
4.38 is bananas for a guy that's built like that. This is just a thought. Let's kick something around. Like Billy Lucci, of course, Harold Perkins is from the Houston era when he played high school. He's from New Orleans originally, but Billy Lucci said when Harold Perkins was a freshman, he was the best running back in the state of Texas as a high school senior. What might that have looked like if LSU said, you're just going to play running back?
Well, I don't respect anything Billy Lucci says, but no, I love Billy. No, I mean, like I talked to Wilson Alexander about this today from the Advocate, and one of the things he brought up too was, when he was coming out of high school, his senior year, he talked to his high school coach, and he said it was either a 3-cone drill or one of the other, maybe the 20-yard shuttle. He tested at that as a senior in high school, and his testing numbers as a 17, 18-year-old kid would have been second that year at his position group in the Combine. Like, I mean, he's a freak athlete, and I don't know if we're ever going to see the Harold Perkins we saw on the tail end of that last month of the season, his freshman year, when I think he was the best defensive player in the country, regardless of age and what team he was on. I think I don't know if we'll see that again, but it feels like today was a really, really big step forward for him in his career. And like you said, 4.38 at 6 feet 220 is bananas.
That is insane. Something else. Monsoor Delane's going to be pretty rich, huh?
Yeah, it was interesting watching that, because I was listening on the way over there. I'm listening to our morning show, and they're, Flynn and Hester, like, if he just run a sub 4.49, and I was like, I would be surprised if he ran over a 4.5, and he was ready for the underwear Olympics. He was, I don't know what his outfit was, but it was wild. He was wearing like, it's like a boxer coming to the ring. He was in like full gear, like team issued gear. And the next thing you know, he's just in his underwear and running faster than everyone else that lined up today. I mean, he was I knew he was going to be fast. I think I thought it would be low 4.4s, but a 4.35. He lost an inch, I think, from the from what do you call it, the media guide. He was at 5'11".
Okay.
But he is the quintessential guy of just put on the tape and stop talking about like the metrics if he didn't run fast. But lucky for him, he ran a 4.35. So I don't know if he's going to last past the 10th pick in this year's draft because he is uber talented and also apparently uber fast.
Yeah, he allowed 2 first downs this year. 2 first downs.
That's insane.
Well,
I'll tell you which one. One of them wasn't on the 4th and 4 against South Carolina when Mike Shula decided to throw on him on a 5-yard hitch route on 4th and 4, which was one of the dumbest decisions I saw in college football all year.
It was very, very poor decision to do that. Conversely, Lane Kiffin, who's probably a little bit more apt on the offensive side of the ball than Mike Shula, said, we're just not going to throw at him at all. And they threw at P.J. Woodland and T.J. Pickett the whole day in Oxford. And he said that publicly. So, that was probably a poor decision there by Coach Shula, which is why he's unemployed. Other guys that were working out today, Chris Hilton, it appears, was doing a little bit of work as a DB. I saw Russell Shepard do that at a pro day as well, just trying to show versatility, I guess. What'd that look like?
So he looks good. I was kind of surprised. I think his unofficial time that they listed was a 4.540. I thought he ran in the low 4.4s, so I don't know if that's exactly what it ran. Listen, he is still a speedster, and I think the most impressive thing he did today, they put him in the 3-cone drill, and you could tell that, listen, they're all out there at once, and I'm pretty sure he was right behind Jacoby and Guillory. So it was like the contrast in between times there was pretty spectacular. But I think also just the way he was able to move, the bend that he had around the cones and everything like that, I feel like he ran it 3 times in a row, and it almost felt like the reason why is because they were kind of in disbelief of what he ran. He ran it at a 6.88, which is lightning quick for that one. And he also looked good in the defensive back stuff. That's mainly just figuring out how you can whip your hips around and get to and from a certain places. Obviously, he has the hands, and maybe a guy that we struggle to see kind of blossom into the kind of receiver we all hoped he would be. Maybe that's where he's going to thrive as an other side of the football. But I thought it was really great to see him perform. He also jumped really, really well. He had a vertical of 38.5, which wowed a lot of people.
That would be one of my first undrafted free agent calls if I'm an NFL GM is to Chris Hilton. I don't know if he's going to get drafted. Maybe he will. But if he doesn't, I would make that call because it's worth it to try to get that talent into the building. I realize LSU fans are sick of us talking about his practice, but we all saw it.
Right.
We're not making anything up. It just didn't happen on the field for him, but a heck of a kid, an incredible competitor, and just hope he gets a break in the NFL. Nussmeier threw it around a little bit. Healthier?
He looks healthier. That patellar tendonitis that we were all gaslit into believing from the previous regime seems to be all well now. I tell you what, the best thing I saw with Nussmeier is he just looks much more relaxed. It felt like the longer last season went on, you could almost see like the weight that was on his shoulders of just everything around and like, not living up to the preseason expectations or the hype or anything like that. He clearly has, I think, one of the better arms in the country when he's healthy. Everyone that has seen him throw knows he can spin it. I think the biggest thing we all knew he was injured was that throw he made to the corner of the end zone, I think to Hilton against Ole Miss, where it was like, man, that is just not the Garrett Nussmeier that we're used to seeing. The biggest thing I think that people are starting to finally see with him now that they get to do the interviews with him, because we all knew that's where he was also going to excel off the field, was in the in-person interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. He just seems like such a comfortable leader, and obviously it's easy to say since he's been at LSU for 5 years, but just watching him interact with some of the guys today and cheering on his former teammates and all that kind of stuff, got real excited during West Week's 40 time and ran all the way down the other side of the field to congratulate him. So I think that whoever gets him, I personally think he is maybe the 3rd best quarterback in the draft when he is actually healthy. If he can get back to that, somebody's going to get a steal with that kid.
Anybody else catch your eye? You mentioned Wes Weeks on the 40. You mentioned Jacoby and Guillory, Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton, a bunch of guys out there. Anybody that you saw that we haven't mentioned?
Let me talk to you about Damian Ramos for 12 minutes.
Okay.
No. I thought Wes Weeks had a really good day. Wes Weeks, he just looks the part. It's so funny looking at him Me and Rivers were joking. It was like it's like his abs were painted on. Like he looks every bit of the part of an NFL linebacker, right? And then you look at his brother, and it's like it's a very different contrast in body types. It's hard to explain. Like, well, that guy's a potential All-American, and this guy might go in the later rounds of the draft. I thought he had an awesome day. I think his official 40 time they listed was around a 4.5. I thought there were several people that had him in a sub 4.5 or on like a 4.45. And when he went through on his second 40 attempt, I mean, like everyone, it felt like I think Sam Levitt was there. His brother obviously was there. I told you Nussmeier came running down. Several guys, Bauer Sharp came running down to congratulate him because I felt like he probably went a lot faster than he was expected to. And again, physically, he looks the part. He tested really, really well today.
That's cool to hear for sure. Any NFL luminaries in attendance? I know Mike Tomlin was always here back in the day. Anybody that you saw out there that caught your eye?
Mike Tomlin was not there. I don't know. He's probably at a beach somewhere. I would assume. I think.
He's not employed. I forgot about that.
Yeah, him and Mike Shula were at a Margaritaville in Myrtle Beach. So no, I think I talked to one of the SIDs or one of the people that were there helping out, and they said there was only one GM and one head coach that was there, and that was kind of shocking to me. That felt pretty low. I think South Carolina had similar numbers, but that's South Carolina, so that was kind of shocking. I think the big thing that was kind of telling was maybe there was only one GM and one head coach there. There were tons of people from the Saints, which is kind of odd because the Saints don't traditionally draft a lot of LSU guys, but they were definitely there and heavy in attendance. The big thing is you just look on the sidelines and some of the current players that are going to be here next year, Trades Green and Sam Levitt and Whit Weeks and all those guys. There's still just so much talent in that facility for next year's team. So I would assume there will be a lot more next year as opposed to how many there were there this year.
All right, Chris, we appreciate it. We'll be reading about it at LouisianaSports.net. We'll talk soon. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good, brother.
He is Chris Marler. LouisianaSports.net runs our social media here, does Locked On Gamecocks. Man that wears many hats, but was at Pro Day today. Doug Nussmeier was there watching Garrett from the Saints. A lot of the Saints brass was there as well. I had blocked out of my mind that Mike Tomlin got fired. I wasn't asking if he was there specifically. I was just saying that he was always there. I covered like 4 of these back in the day, and Tomlin was always there. But I'd forgotten that the Steelers had moved on.
He's last time I seen him, he was doing like some March Madness stuff. So he's been at the games. He's been going to the March Madness games.
Man's got some cash. Doesn't have to worry about doing the draft this year. Go do
worry
something else. Find a
about
boat somewhere.
Listen, you don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go on a type of retreat into the woods, into a dark cave?
They hired McCarthy, right?
Yeah, another Mr. 8-8, Dallas.
More of the same. Got 45 minutes left to go here. Our Monday editions are brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. More after this.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. The entire inventory is there at FabryChevrolet.com, so I invite you to go check that out. Fabry family's been at this for 35 years in Baton Rouge. You know them. You know what to expect. You're going to get wonderful customer service, a pleasant buying experience, and great service after the sale. Reminder, their service department services all makes. So whatever you've got, they can help you out there in St. Francisville. It's a short drive from Baton Rouge. So if you're looking for a great deal, up to $11,000 off of Chevy Silverados, up to $13,000 off GMC Sierras, they've got you covered on trucks. They've also got great selection of SUVs as well. If you're looking for a Tahoe or a Suburban, they got them. If you're looking for a Yukon or Denali, they've got those as well. Great time to get into a new ride. Check them out. It's Fabry Chevrolet. They're online at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions, online at GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. They're moving healthcare forward over at Guarantee Health Solutions. What does that mean? Well, it's a full service that they offer to those in the healthcare space, whether it's an urgent care, a hospital, private clinic, maybe you're talking about a dental office. They can give you a full assessment of your patient journey from a hospitality point of view, because obviously patient care is paramount, but you need to have a pleasant experience. You need access to care as well. How easy is access to care? Well, they'll give you a full assessment of that journey. How many clicks to care? You can become more digital in the healthcare space. Marketing, SEO optimization, all these kinds of things that maybe you don't think of all the time in the healthcare space, but that's what Guarantee Health Solutions is here to help you do. How do you make sure that patients know to come back for those annual checkups? Well, at Guarantee Health Solutions, they can help optimize that. They can help your front desk folks run things a little bit more smoothly, streamline things. It's a full-service concierge partner in the healthcare space. That's what Guarantee Health Solutions can do. So if you want to reach out, you can at guaranteehealth.com. It's guaranteehealth.com. Bring our Monday shows each and every week. All right, I went through some numbers for LSU, and I put it up on the website, louisianasports.net, in a piece we call Statistically Speaking. It's for those that just want some numbers. That's what they can give you at Statistically Speaking. It's not a bunch of words. It's a lot of numbers, and they're not very pleasant, quite frankly. You're talking about a team in LSU that, ranking amongst the 16 SEC teams, is 13th in batting average to this point at 277. They are 12th in doubles. I think doubles are a very important statistic. That just shows how often you're barreling the ball up and impacting. You're either driving in runs doing that or creating run-scoring opportunities. You can luck your way into some singles here and there. You can certainly luck your way into a double, but it's rare. Like, doubles indicate good contact and quality at bats, and LSU's 12th in the SEC in doubles. They're 11th in slugging percentage, 9th in home runs, so you're in the bottom half of those two statistics. And on base percentage, you're 8th. You're not stealing bases. You're 13th in that category as well. Like, there's just a lot of offensive statistics that are not flattering at all. Somehow, some way, you're 5th in the league in runs scored. Perhaps that's because you scored a bunch of runs in the first weekend against Milwaukee. That's a Milwaukee team that's, I think, 4-17 on the season. So maybe that's the one that is an outlier. You did score a lot in Jacksonville, for whatever that's worth, and you scored a lot in Nashville with a lot of help. But you are 5th in the SEC in runs scored. But all those underlying metrics are very, very disappointing from an offensive perspective. I talked about that in the first segment today. What can get better? And I do think there's room for improvement from Seth Dardar. I think there's room for improvement from Zach York. I think there's room for improvement from Onar Cerna with him playing a little bit more. And I know that there's significant room for improvement from Stephen Milam. So those are some of the guys I'm pointing to be better. I don't know if Cade Arambidi is going to make that step. He looks great early. He's looked okay recently. I don't know that you're going to get anything from Braden Simpson or Tanner Reeves. They've never really shown that they're able to do that. So those guys have kind of been left out of the lineup. So the guys I'm looking at are opposite Jake Brown, and there are some guys that you got to get more from. You look on the pitching side of things. LSU is 15th in the SEC in ERA. When you couple that with 14th in the SEC in fielding percentage, your run prevention is a nightmare. You're 9th in the SEC in hits allowed. You're 13th in walks, meaning there's only 3 teams that walk more than you. You're 6th in home doubles allowed, 9th in home runs allowed. You're keeping the ball in the ballpark, which Kason Evans does a good job of that. Gavin Guidry does a good job of that as well. You were 16th, dead last in wild pitches, which is not a surprise to anybody at all. When you watch this team, they just give out free bases at an alarming rate with wild pitches. Some of those are on the pitchers. Some of those are on the catchers to do a little bit better job. I did think Cade Arambidi on Saturday when I went to the game, he had a couple of really impressive blocks. One, William Schmidt bounced with the bases loaded that he made a really nice play on. Schmidt went back to the breaking ball later on in that at-bat and got a huge strikeout early in that game to strand the bases loaded. But then there were instances where the ball got away a little bit, and then Guidry came back and fought his way out of it, got a little help with the line drive right at Stephen Milam. But you're throwing way too many wild pitches. You're 13th in hits batsmen. You're hitting way too many guys as well. Just way too many free bases for LSU at this point. But this one statistic, and I'm going to tie it all back together here in a second, but this one statistic, you are first in the SEC in strikeouts by a sizable margin. You are the best strikeout staff in the SEC for the 3rd consecutive season. What does that mean? 2 things for me on the strikeouts. One, it's awesome that you're striking guys out. That doesn't allow teams to move the baseball, doesn't allow them to move runners, doesn't allow them to get guys in from third base less than 2 outs, gets you out of jams. Strikeouts are great. That's a very big positive that you lead the SEC in strikeouts. The other piece to the puzzle is somehow, some way, with the SEC's leading strikeout staff and a shortstop with 0 errors on the season, almost halfway through. You've played 6 weeks, and there are 8 to go. So after next week, it'll be 7-7, 7 in the rear view, 7 to come. Your shortstop does not have an error, and your pitching staff strikes out more than anybody in the SEC, and you're still awful from a fielding percentage perspective. 14th in the SEC. Your defense is being asked to do less than anyone in the league. And the toughest position is manned by the best player in the league on defense, and you're still that bad. That is stunning. I made this proclamation on Twitter on Saturday. I stand by it today. There are not a lot of times where I rush to go, he's the best I've ever seen at LSU with that. Like, I can do it with some. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher I've ever seen at LSU. Dylan Cruz is the best position player I've ever seen at LSU. Leonard Fournette's the best running back I've ever seen at LSU. I can't do wide receiver. I'm not sure who the best shooter I've ever seen at LSU is. I don't know who the best offensive lineman I've ever seen at LSU is. But I can tell you that the best defensive shortstop I've seen at LSU is Stephen Marler. He's the best. I thought Austin Nola was fantastic. Bregman made some spectacular plays. Those have warped y'all's vision of what Bregman was. Defensively, as a freshman, he was a poor shortstop. He became a good shortstop, and the play he made in Omaha was spectacular, and he's emerged as a Gold Glove defender at third base in the big leagues. But he's not even in the discussion with Stephen Milam as best defensive shortstop. Not in my discussion. He made some highlight plays, and he made great improvement over 3 years. But Milam is way better. Milam's got better hands. He's got quicker hands. He's got as much range. He's got a better arm. He's just better. I thought Josh Smith did a good job at shortstop. Kramer and Jordan Thompson made some impressive plays, but they were prone to errors. But to me, the best shortstop I've ever seen at LSU defensively is Stephen Milam. Because not only does he make the amazing plays, that backhand he made in the hole was sensational with guys at second and third and 2 outs late in that game on Saturday. Phenomenal play. That's the one that made me send out that tweet. But he also makes all the routine plays. He did have a couple of quote-unquote misplays at Vanderbilt that weren't scored errors. But day in, day out, routine plays, spectacular plays, Milam is as good as I've ever seen at LSU on defense. He is sensational. And for LSU to be as bad as they are defensively with as many strikeouts as they have and the best defender I've ever seen at shortstop it blows the mind. It just means you're just not even close to good enough at second, not even close to good enough at first, not even close to good enough at catcher. And Jake Brown keeps making throwing errors, which is unnecessary. But those are some statistics. If you want to read all the stats that I pulled for LSU offensively and defensively today. And the other stat I had that I didn't talk about because it's a team-wide stat, but it's LSU's 0-4 in one-run games now. 0-4 in one-run games. That's a good way to drop your seed by a line, whether that's going from a top 8 to a host to on the 2 or 3 line, and then on the 2 or 3 line to out of the tournament. If you can't win one-run games, that'll be the margin. So it's weird that we have to have that conversation, but we do, because that's where LSU is right now. I'll have my power rankings on Wednesday, but you're looking at somewhere like 12-13 for LSU at this point. That's very much bubblicious. So those are some stats. Let's talk some football next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It is March. It is still March, and that means it is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Why is that important? Well, colon cancer is very, very common, but it's preventable and it's treatable if you catch it early enough. So screening that detects those precancerous polyps is crucial. If you catch them before they turn into cancer, good results can absolutely happen. When should you get scanned? Well, adults, when they begin at 45. If you've got family history, maybe a little bit before that. So you need to contact your healthcare provider. That can make all the difference. They can guide you to the right screenings at the right time, including when it's appropriate to schedule that colonoscopy. So make an appointment with Ochsner Health primary care provider or a GI specialist and start that conversation. Ask about your personal risk and understand that early detection can save lives. Schedule an appointment, Ochsner.org/schedule, or through the My Ochsner app. That's Ochsner.org.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions, GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust started up in 1910. That was 116 years ago, and they are still rocking and rolling. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So what does that mean? Well, it means there's always one near you if you're in Southeast Louisiana, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, maybe down in Lafourche, Terrebonne, maybe here around Baton Rouge and Dutchtown, around Jones Creek. There's First American Bank and Trust here for you. It's accessibility, and it provides resources. When you got 25 locations, they can help you with the things that you might default to the local, the large national bank. Go with local. First American Bank and Trust. Bank with them. The people that are there making the decisions about your commercial loan, your personal loan, are part of your community. It's just a great feeling to have a banker that knows you, that's around you, and you're just not a line item for some call center in Atlanta. First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. You know, I didn't know what to expect when I sent out the station survey to our team for LouisianaSports.net about what people were looking for at spring football. We all understand what spring football is, okay? There's going to be a lot of folks running around cones. They're going to be hitting sleds. Nobody's putting in a game plan. Intensity level's not quite what it is in fall camp. Like, it's spring football. We get it. But it is football, and this is a football-crazy town. And it's a new coach, and there's a lot of excitement. And so this spring does bring an interesting feel to it. I'll tell you this. I'm going to get out there for practice tomorrow. I'm not going to recognize anybody. I'll see Trades Green and Whit Weeks out there. And I'll feel pretty good about that. And, after that, I don't know who's going to be running around. But we'll figure it out. And I was interested in what people would say when I sent the question to our team, what are you looking for spring practice? And I got a lot of different answers. I'll kind of go through them briefly. You can read the answers at LouisianaSports.net. They're on the homepage. Hester said running backs. Flynn said Trades Green. Taylor Sharp said the wide receiver group. Jordan said he's looking at the edges and defensive line. I went with the secondary and what the rotation looks like there. Matt went with offensive line, and Musso went with offensive line as well. Paul just threw a whole blanket on the entire offense. He just wants to see the whole Lane Kiffin experience, and I don't think that's the wrong thing either. And so what it did for me in reading these answers that everyone gave us was it allowed me to look at different aspects of the team that I haven't really thought about. I haven't thought about the football team in earnest since the portal closed. You get into the end of basketball season and what's going on with that program, and certainly baseball takes up a lot of my time as well. And we've been talking a lot about Saints, and there's just a lot going on. And once the portal closed and we hadn't gotten to spring football yet, and the Kiffin stuff died down, I kind of pushed that off to the side. So now it's about getting back into it. And I do think that offensive line is very interesting. Obviously, we believe that Jordan Seaton will be the left tackle. Obviously, we believe that Braylon Moore will be the center. Beyond that, there are a lot of different options, and I'm not exactly sure who's going to fill those spots. You've got some incumbents. You've got a bunch of new pieces. And so there's intrigue on who the first five are, and there's intrigue on who plays what position. And so I'm very, very interested in you bringing in transfer from Baylor, transfer from Ole Miss, transfer from Tennessee. You bring in a junior college player, a player from the FCS. You've got a lot of different guys coming in on the offensive line. And, oh, by the way, you've still got some guys on this roster that you haven't seen. What is Solomon Thomas? I don't know. I'm not sure. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what that group looks like on day one and kind of how it evolves. Now, keep in mind, and it's a different staff, but the point remains. Last year, when we went out to spring football, DJ Chester was the starting center, and Braylon Moore worked with the second team basically the whole spring. And that surprised all of us because you brought this guy in who started at Virginia Tech. Chester had a bumpy year as a redshirt freshman at center. Clearly you think that you're going to have Braylon Moore be the center, and he wasn't in the spring. But the plan all along was to move him into that role in the fall, and they did. So you realize that what you see in the spring is not indicative of what they're going to be like on August 1st, and certainly not against Clemson in the season opener. But it's a starting point, and I'm curious to see how that offensive line shakes out. Because I told you, if you were listening in the first hour, that I was curious about the rotation and where guys lined up in the secondary. Same thing for the offensive line. Where are they lining up? I think that's interesting information. A one-on-one rep between a wide receiver and a corner is great. It gets a highlight, and you can put it on Twitter, and we can tell you, well, this Jace Brown went up and beat DJ Pickett. But, like, what does that mean? I don't know. It just means Jace Brown made a nice play. If there's a guy working at a specific spot, he's working at tackle, he's working at guard, that is information that feels like it's relevant and pertinent to fall football. So I'm with Matt Musso and Matt Moscona on that. Like, yeah, I'm curious to see how the offensive line shakes out. Jordan, you did say the edge and the defensive line, guys like Dominic McKinley, Gabe Relaford, you're curious about their emergence in their now second and third year.
Yep.
Plus, you bring in transfers. Principal Uman-Mielen, Jordan Ross, Jalen Brown, all guys with SEC pedigrees. Like, what intrigues you about the defensive front?
That, and, you bring in these 5-star, well, not all of them are 5-star, but the highly touted defensive line you brought in between Deuce Geralds and Big Rich, and what is Lamar Brown? That's really what's been racking my brain, is what is Lamar Brown? I have people that have told me he's better at offensive line. I have people that told me he got reps at edge, he got reps at D tackle. So what does he fit into that mix? And also, these transfers you bring on the edge, you're going to need actual production from your edge. This year, a lot of your production from sacks were from DBs blitzing and Harold Perkins coming in.
You did not rush the passer with a flip last year.
Not worth anything.
And this is going to be a Hunt thing, and we'll see how everybody else analyzes this. I have a feeling I know how that's going to go. Here's my stance. Jordan Ross, to me, is the guy who hasn't really done a lot at Tennessee. He's not the 5-star recruit. He was a 5-star recruit 2 years ago.
Yes.
Now, he's just a guy that didn't make a ton of plays at Tennessee. That's how I'm going to approach it. Mm-hmm. So, certainly the athleticism's there, the size is there. There's a reason he was a 5-star. And you do turn on the tape. He blocked a kick when he was a freshman. He has had a strip sack. Like, there have been highlight plays, but it's not like he's been a 10-sack guy.
Yeah.
And so, to me, Prince Uman-Mielen is a dude. That's a guy who led Ole Miss in sacks. That's a double-digit sack guy. That's what I think of him as, even though he was only a 4-star recruit. Jordan Ross is a bigger recruit, but show me something. So I'm with you. Like, they have to be better at rushing the passer this year. I think that Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton had decent years up front, holding the line, setting the edge, making some stops against the run game. They were available, but they were not. They didn't rush the passer at all.
Not at all, especially with Patrick Payton. That was his whole thing at Florida State, was that this guy is a pass rusher. This guy, he flies off the edge. So that was a little disappointing. But for this defense to click and really be at all cylinders, you have to generate some type of pass rush. And I think that's where it all starts. Well,
I did the Chuck Oliver show last week.
Okay.
And Chuck asked me, Dominic McKinley, is he going to blossom into a star? I was like, well, he hasn't. I mean, he's been here 2 years, and he's a nice player. Yeah. But, like, I don't notice him on the field. And that's kind of the way that I look at defensive line play. Like, do I notice you? And I didn't really notice him the first 2 years he was here. He's big. He's got the measurables. He was a 5-star. But I alluded to this on Chuck's show as well. And this, I think, is a big deal. LSU, I'm going to pull two numbers that might not be exactly right, but you'll get the picture. I think LSU's had 8 defensive line coaches in 7 years.
It's been a lot.
Maybe 9 in 7 years, because Jimmy Lindsey got sick, and you had the interim there with Pete Jenkins came in for 3 months, and then you had Bob Diaco try to go over there and do it, or John Jancic went over there and tried to do it, and then you've had just a revolving door, and I think that harms the development of some of these defensive linemen when you have a different voice every 10 months. Like, that's just a big deal, and he's gonna have another one this year, so we'll see how that goes. But
that's 3 in 3 years for him.
It's 3 in 3 years, so that's just the way things have gone. I do know this: the staff has told people they're very high on Gabe Relaford. It's a bummer that he got hurt last year.
Yes,
you had a lot of older players that came in with Peyton, Pyburn, and Butler that took playing time from him, and then he got hurt. So hopefully he's healthy and he's out there and making some plays. But there's a chance he can be a quality pass rusher for you. But of the guys they've got, like, I'm looking at Prince Uman-Mielen as the top dog.
He's got it.
Everybody else needs to show me something.
No, he's got to be. I mean, especially didn't they have to pay $1 million to go get him from Ole Miss?
$500,000, but they did it twice. They paid $500,000 for Daugherty and Uman Mielen, so that's $1 million.
Okay, well, you two brothers, y'all need to show up this year, okay? So yeah, he has to be.
And then the last one Taylor talked about was wide receiver. There are going to be 100 of them out there tomorrow, and we'll see. I'll see what they look like in pads. My inclination is that Jace Brown is the best transfer they brought in. He was certainly the most productive last year at Kansas State. I think there are some good ones. Jackson Harris from Hawaii, obviously. I think that Trey Wilson is a freak that has been hurt for 2 years at Florida, that it could potentially be a big play guy. I like the fact that he went off against Georgia last year. That's a feather in your cap. But they're all going to be going through reps, and they'll be catching balls from backup quarterbacks that have a lot to play for as well. Husan Longstreet, is he the future of LSU football beyond Sam Leavitt? Who knows? And can he get a push from a guy down at a lower level from old Elon? Is that something that you can see? We'll see. But we'll be out there tomorrow, I believe, watching LSU spring football. We have still not gotten a practice schedule on that, but hope to have a report on tomorrow's show from what we see out on the Ponderosa tomorrow. So we'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing. Find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. You know, Lifetime's in the name, obviously, but it's also in what they can provide you, and that's a lifetime workmanship warranty. That warranty will cover the workmanship, obviously. It also covers the materials, and those are backed by CertainTeed, which is one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. Lifetime workmanship warranty. They also do financing, 0% up to 18 months. A new roof can be pricey. Even a deductible can be pricey if you've got 2% on a large roof for wind and hail or for a named storm. If you want to finance a deductible, you can do that as well at Lifetime Roofing. They're Baton Rouge based. The owners right here from South Louisiana, and they care about this community, and they know that their work oftentimes calls for them to help people in need. And they're here to do that, and they'll be here for a very, very long time. It's Lifetime Roofing. Find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding health care forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
A little bit better weather on this Monday as opposed to last Monday out for the T-ball squad. Myers Man was out there last week in a full jacket with a hood on it playing T-ball.
It was freezing, man.
It was freezing cold.
It was freezing
in March.
Yeah, no, I'm tired of this.
Can't have it, but it's not anymore. So we'll be out there in shorts today. Bombers, looking forward to a big-time game. There's a little bit of drama last week. Folks were not happy that some of the dads from the other team, which you go out there, there's a bunch of dads out in the outfield, were stopping some of the balls that were hit.
Really?
Yeah. I had no problem with it. There's no rules. It doesn't matter.
It wasn't like they were keeping score.
No, nobody's keeping score. But, the balls were being stopped right by the pitcher's mound every time.
So
I thought it was fine. Whatever.
So, are they doing it trying to speed the game up, or are they just trying
the kids, Myers is playing against 3-year-olds, and his team's 4. 3-year-olds, they're not going to stop the ball. If you hit it, it's going to roll all the way to the fence, and all the kids got to run and go get it. It's just
it's going to be all day. We're going to be here all day.
So,
okay. Respect to the dads then. Respect to the dads. We trying to get up out of here.
Look, 35 minutes, I'm telling you, in and out with T-ball.
Just say we trying to get up out of here, man.
Not enough time for Keller to eat 4,000 cheese puffs, but it's we'll be out there, a little T-ball this evening. Tomorrow on the show, looking forward to a reaction to LSU's first spring practice. Also, LSU and Louisiana Tech from the box tomorrow. All these games are important for LSU to play better and to get wins. So we'll see if the Tigers can do that against Louisiana Tech. I have not looked into Tech this year. I'm not sure what their situation is. Jay Johnson said on Saturday that he thought the Tech entering the weekend was in a pretty good space RPI-wise. So we'll see, but we'll have a preview of that game tomorrow. I'll be ready for that. And continue to I'll just say this, monitor things with LSU basketball. Monitor. Nothing happening at the moment, but that silence, in my opinion, is loud. And we'll see. I don't have anything to tell you right now, but I just wouldn't suggest to shut the door on it.
Gotcha. Your spidey senses are tingling.
My spidey senses are tingling a little bit. There's a lot of quietness, and I listened to 2 NC State podcasts today. We'll just go to that far. So let's close out the show. So take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it
it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year has a new contract. Jackson Smith-Njigba has, man, listen to this. He has reached a 4-year, $168 million contract extension with the Seattle Seahawks, making him the highest paid NFL receiver in history. The deal averages $42 million a year, includes over $120 million guaranteed, both record-setting. So should the Saints be nervous for the Chris Olave contract extension? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean,
leave it alone.
Chris Olave hadn't won any Offensive Player of the Year awards that I'm aware of.
True,
So,
very true,
I mean,
very true.
I realize that's a different market, but like, I think Chris Olave is probably going to get paid by the 15th, 18th best receiver in the league. He's not that, but that's probably what he's going to get paid like, and I don't think that alters it because Smith-Njigba got that monster deal.
Okay. Just saying, man. So are we looking at a day and age where we're getting receivers making over $40 million a year, though?
That's a hard way to run a salary cap, and the
Thank
Bengals
you.
are trying to do it with 2 of them. So that's a very difficult way to manage things.
All right, so the New York Giants running back Cam Scatterbo has issued an apology for his prior comments on CTE and asthma. Scatterbo previously said that CTE wasn't real and that it is an excuse. During a recent podcast interview, he also said asthma was fake and just breathe, bro. So are Scatterbo antics getting kind of old? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Here's the deal.
Leave it alone.
I just don't think Cam Scatterbo is a Nobel Prize winning scientist. I don't believe he is an academic in really any way. I think Cam Scatterbo is big and strong and fast and humorous. I don't want him giving any theses on science or anything of that nature. Yeah, medicine. He's not an academic. He's an athlete. He's a jock. So if you're asking him questions about things he doesn't know anything about, you're probably going to get dumb answers.
Yeah.
That's my thought on that.
Especially asthma, just breathe, bro. You didn't think about that one. Just breathe a little bit, bro. You didn't think about that one. So, unfortunately, Paul Mainieri is out as South Carolina baseball head coach. Midway through his second season, Mainieri, 6'8", who won the College World Series with LSU in 2009. The Gamecocks went 40 and 40 under Mainieri. So is it time to call it a career? Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
I told you this. I've been telling you this for weeks.
Yeah,
It just wasn't a good hire. Like, Paul had a brilliant career.
Yes.
He really did. And look, LSU fans just immediately spring to diminish what he did here. Immediately. Have you watched LSU in 2024 and in this year? Like, it is very difficult to be really good every year.
Yeah.
Paul's teams for a stretch in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 were a top 8 national seed every year. Like, he was good. He got a top 8 every year. They were good every year. And I realized that the landscape's different, and I realized that things didn't go well at the end. And I fully admit that. But, like, to diminish his entire career at LSU is ridiculous. It's hard to be really good every year. And he was really good damn near every year. And he won a lot of games. He's a great ambassador for LSU. He loves LSU. And Ray Tanner made a bad hire. He hired a guy that had been out of the game for a few years, that had never dealt with NIL transfer portal stuff. And he put him into the most difficult conference in the history of the sport. And it went horribly. And that's not surprising. I knew it was going to go horribly. I knew Les Miles was going to go horribly at Kansas.
You did call
it was just obvious. But South Carolina did show some spunk after they you know how bad it was when they let him go in the middle of a series. They didn't even let the series end. It's like, that's Friday. Got beat 22-3. That's it. And then they came back and played tough on Saturday, and they won the game on Sunday.
Okay.
So, it was just a bad hire. And I'm hopeful that Paul is welcome back here. This, in my eye, does not diminish his legacy one iota. This was never going to work. It was set up for failure.
No, and I will say,
what it is.
you did call this a while back. Like, even when it first happened, you were like, I don't like this at all. I don't like where this is going. So you were ahead of the snake before everybody else.
Yep.
That's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It. Our Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Open the show today talking about LSU's series loss to Oklahoma. Just a really, really tough series loss, and the offense was not nearly good enough. Went into that. I also touched on a little bit later on in the show with Cooper Moore's injury and what that means for LSU. Just simply, they don't have a third starter now, so you're going to have to go to that TBA situation and use who's available to you after you play Friday and Saturday, and you don't hold anybody. You go win games if you can. So that's what they're going to have to do for the next few weeks. Also talked to LSU Pro Day with Chris Marler. Appreciate him for jumping aboard. Talk some LSU spring football. You can find those segments online on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast at Hunt on LSU. Full shows, always Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcast, YouTube as well. So lots that we got to. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We always appreciate that. It gets our content as front of many folks as possible. Tomorrow we will have Glenn West on talking Tigers. We will have Sharif Ishak on talking about the New Orleans Saints. We'll preview LSU and Louisiana Tech, and certainly get you caught up on spring football's opener as well. You can read about that on louisianasports.net for free. That's it for me. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further View. Everybody have a wonderful and safe Monday evening. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Before we roll, let's talk about Swing Easy Golf Club. SwingEasyGCBR.com is the website. But don't go to the website. Just go to Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan at Perkins. Great place to work on your golf game. If you're looking for a place to hit some balls before work, looking for some place to hit some balls at lunch or after work, maybe in the evening when it's dark, you can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club. They've got the driving range setting in there and individual bays. Don't have to worry about wind. Don't have to worry about rain. Don't have to worry about grass not growing or scuffed up golf balls. You can just practice in a controlled setting. You can see your ball speed. You can see your carry distance. You can see the trajectory of your shots. You can hit drivers. You can hit wedges. You can do it all there at Swing Easy Golf Club. I've found one of the most interesting things to look at is your club at impact. They've got a slow-mo that shows where your club is impacting the ball, if you're catching it on the toe, catching it on the heel. If you're a scratch golfer, that can help you. If you're a beginner and want to learn how to play golf, it's a great spot to do that as well at Swing Easy. So go by and see them on Segan at Perkins. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy Golf Club.